There are moments when life slows down just enough for you to notice a quiet movement inside you, a feeling that something deeper is guiding everything you think and everything you choose. This talk begins in that still space. It invites you to look at the subtle forces that shape your days without ever showing themselves. You will hear about the three hidden currents that influence your mind, your breath, and your inner world. They rise and fall like tides. They pull you toward action, hold you in stillness, and draw you into reflection. Most people move through life without ever recognizing them. But once you see how they work, nothing looks the same again. As the layers unfold, you will begin to sense that these forces are not just ideas. They are part of a pattern that touches every moment of your journey. And somewhere beyond them lies a space where everything becomes clear, where your awareness stands untouched and steady. This is the doorway we are stepping toward, a doorway into the center of your own consciousness. Let this journey draw you in. Let it open a quiet awareness that has been waiting inside you all along.
This profound talk moves around the three fundamental forces of life and creation. The purpose is to understand that our life moves around the Trinity in existence. If we rise above this Trinity, if we rise above these three basic forces, then we dissolve into the universe. These three forces exist in many forms, and no matter how much we describe them, it is never enough. I will place a few types of these forces before you. When you enter a deep state of meditation, you can sense these three forces on your own. I will explain some of these forces in detail, and the rest will be known to you through your own inner experience, which will give you complete understanding. For example, there are three forces or three states: birth, life, and death. In the same way, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Meaning past, present, and future. Similarly, according to divine forces, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, Ganga, Saraswati, and Yamuna. According to the atom, neutron, positron, and electron. If you look at the physical body, there is your body, consciousness, and mind. If even one force becomes zero, the other two automatically become zero, and you merge into the Supreme. You experience pure existence. In the same way, there is inhaling, exhaling, and the state in between where breath stops. If you become one with this state of no breath, then neither breath enters nor leaves. Even then, you can become one with existence. In the same way, there is love, detachment, and hatred. If you neither love nor hate anyone, you remain in the zero state. In that state you experience no suffering. You become self-reliant. This is the highest state of life. In the same way, in a society there are women, there are men, and the state in between, which is the Kinara state. In the world, you will find some who believe in God and some who do not. And there are people who are neither believers nor non-believers. They remain in the zero state. They neither confirm God nor deny God. They stay simply in that neutral space. In society, there are wealthy, poor, and middle-class people. In your daily life you either speak, or stay silent, or sit quietly. The state between speaking and silence is calmness. Calmness means the body is quiet, the mind is quiet. Silence only means your mouth is silent while thoughts still move inside. In the calm state your thoughts are zero. These are the three states. Every day you experience light, darkness, and the twilight between them. If twilight disappears, you are either in light or in darkness. Twilight is a state that is above both, and in that state you are with yourself. That is why it is called the sacred time of merging. In your body you are either healthy or sick. The state between them is the state of being disease-free. In that state you have no illness. You are zero, neither unhealthy nor healthy, you are complete. In the same way, water also has three states that appear in our life: ice, water, and steam. All three transform into one another, and when your state becomes like steam, you expand into the universe. That is when you become zero. In that state, when you are with the divine, you are with your true self. In the same way, each day you live in Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sometimes Sattva is stronger in your life. Sometimes Rajas is stronger. In Rajas you stay busy with action. In Tamas you prefer rest. When Sattva is present you are aligned with the divine, and your mind naturally moves toward good actions. Every year summer comes, winter comes, and the rainy season comes. In the same way morning, afternoon, and night come. All around us there is the sound of Om. Om means Aum. This is the form of the Supreme. A refers to earth, U refers to water, and M refers to light. When we chant Om, the last letter is always the one that expands. Om, the letter M expands. You are in light, and within light the wonder of life is hidden. In the same way, in your life there are humans, animals, and plants. By moving through these three states, you can become a great human being. In this world matter also has three states: solid, liquid, and gas. And in our inner life there is Sat, Chit, and Anand. If you live in truth, you remain in your own consciousness, and if you stay in consciousness, joy naturally arises. In this universe there are divine beings and there are demonic beings. Humans are only the middle category. Time also has three forms: Kal, which is time, Akal, which is beyond time, and the state of creation. When are you beyond time? When you are in the state of samadhi or state of ecstasy, when you are in the universe, and when you are with your true self. In that state you do not sense time at all. The middle state is creation, which is the state of your mind. If the state of the mind becomes zero, then time turns into timelessness, and you become one with the divine. In the same way, within you there is the witness who sees everything. There is the seer through whom you perceive. And there is the scene which you observe. When the witness, the seer, and the scene become one, everything becomes zero. That is the state of Shiva. That is the state of pure knowledge. When you enter this state, devotion arises within you, love arises within you, and you become filled with the presence of the divine. In the same way, in your life good happens, bad happens, and in between there is always a neutral state. If you do not get disturbed by good or bad, you remain in the zero state. And the zero state is the highest state. In the same way there is desire, there is the zero state, and there is no desire. Will you desire something? Will you avoid desiring? Or will you remain in the space between? If you stay in the middle and simply observe whatever is happening, nothing can disturb you. There are many such forces. If you understand them, you can become one with the Supreme. Now let us try to understand past, present, and future in detail. The past means your earlier life. The future is what has not yet come. The future becomes the past by passing through the present. The future turns into the past in the blink of an eye. This means the present moment is equal to zero, it barely exists. If you perform any action in the present moment, to act in the present you must be fully awake, because the present is equal to zero. It disappears as fast as you blink. The present is the state of Sthita Prajna. Look at your 3 fingers. The middle finger is the present. The finger before it is the future. The last finger is the past. From the future you enter the present, and from the present you move into the past. If you stay in the present, you are in zero. Between the fingers of past and present there is a little gap. In the same way there is space between past and present. If you remain in the present, steady and centered, that state becomes zero. And when the present becomes zero, the past and future also turn into zero. Zero means non-duality. If you stay in the present, past and future both melt completely. In the state of Sthita Prajna you sense neither past nor future. First Savikalpa Samadhi comes, and then Nirvikalpa Samadhi comes. If you remain in the present, you rise above time, because space becomes zero and time becomes zero. You enter the state of Akal, and that is the state of Samadhi or state of ecstasy. If you stay in the present, you will very quickly enter the state of zero. Now look at the second state. Birth, life, and death. When life becomes zero, in just a moment you reach death. Everything becomes completely zero. Birth does not remain, life does not remain, and death does not remain. In the same way, if you place yourself in the state of death, just as you place yourself in life, then with time life becomes zero. If you consciously place yourself in the experience of death while still awake, after a little while you begin to feel death even while living. And the moment you sense death, fear of death disappears. You rise above death. And once you rise above death, the life of 100 or 150 years that you live, if you establish yourself in death, then within a moment you rise above all three states and become established in the divine. This is why it is said that if you keep sensing death in life, you stay in the state of Akal. You stay with the divine. Then you will never commit wrong actions. Your life will move only in the direction of good actions. If your mind becomes steady, you can sense that the body becomes inert. When the mind is steady and the body becomes inert, the consciousness within you begins to expand. When the mind becomes zero, you gain in one life what many lifetimes of penance would bring. When the mind becomes steady, the body naturally becomes steady. The mind and body are closely linked, while consciousness lives in the body yet remains separate, and in this steady state it can easily merge with the universe. If you are unstable, everything appears unstable to you. If you are stable, even the coin you see lying at the bottom of water appears stable to you. But if your mind is unstable, even if the water is still, the coin lying in it will appear unstable. The point is that the world appears exactly as your inner state is. If you are filled with inner light and live with the divine, you see the soul in everyone, you see the form of the divine in everyone. If you are filled with desire or lust, then looking at any woman brings the sense of desire. Whatever your mind is like, that is exactly how everything appears to you. If you are hungry and walking on the street, your eyes will naturally go only toward food shops. The meaning is simple. As you are within, according to your own desire, you become that, and everything appears in that form. If you pay attention to the breath, whatever you observe slows down. If you look attentively at a child, the child becomes calm. If you look into the eyes of a lion, even the lion becomes calm. In the same way, if you observe your breath, its speed decreases. If you take 15 breaths in a minute, with time they will become 10, then 5, and eventually they can even become 0. When the breath becomes 0, the mind also becomes 0, because the mind functions only through the breath. As soon as the mind becomes 0, you enter samadhi or state of ecstasy. The entire science of the universe, all knowledge, and the method of meditation depend on the breath. This is the simplest path to reach the Supreme. In the same way, if you experience the witness within, as Raman Maharshi did or as Socrates did, you will see that the witness within you is the one who sees. When this experience arises, the witness, the seer, and the seen become one. When the three become one, you become steady in wisdom. The state of Sthita Prajna is the highest state. This is the zero state. From this state you easily enter deep meditation and can become one with the divine. A person lives in Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. If one rises above these three qualities, if Sattva is not there, Rajas is not there, and Tamas is not there, then one enters the state beyond all qualities. To rise above all qualities is the zero state. This is the state of knowledge, the state of consciousness, and this is where consciousness evolves. So, in life you do not have to fight with thoughts, and you do not have to run away from them. If a thought comes, there is no need to remove it. Do not fight with the mind so that the thought disappears. Whatever thought comes, just watch it. If you look at it deeply, its power dissolves in a short time, and then that same thought does not return again. While chanting Om, also experience that earth, water, and light are one. Everything arises from light. Everything comes from the universe. In a little time, you will reach the zero state and your meditation will settle. This is why the chant of Om is the greatest chant. Your life also is made of 4 letters. LIFEL means learning. I mean becoming one with it. F means gaining freedom from it. And the last letter E means evolution. So, the final goal of life is evolution. Evolution means rising above the 3 primary forces around which we constantly move, and spreading your own fragrance around you while becoming one with the divine. This is the highest goal of life and the method to rise above these 3 forces. Now see that every cell in our body is created by the combined power of male and female. Every cell contains a part of the mother and a part of the father. It contains the male aspect and the female aspect. And in between them, through the great power of consciousness, our body is formed. Since every cell contains both male and female, the force that unites them inside us, the force that creates each cell, is the sensual or reproductive energy. As time passes, our cells become weak. They become weak because the connection between the male, female, and seed energy, the same sensual force that created us, begins to weaken, starts to reach zero, and the cells dissolve. This is why a person leaves the world at 80 years, or 70, or 90. At any age one may leave the world, because the cells lose strength and their energy fades. Now understand this in another way. The male and female aspects of the cells separate. When they separate and start growing independently, such a person can develop cancer in old age. And some cells in certain people remain active in sensual processes even in old age. For example, In ancient times we see kings who at 70 or 80 married a young woman, and by keeping their sensual energy active, their life becomes a little longer. It may happen or may not, but generally it has been seen that their life becomes 5 to 10% longer than ordinary people. Going even further, those who move into spiritual practice lose their sensual energy much earlier, and then the power of consciousness begins to grow. Every cell becomes filled with the light of consciousness. Such light enters the cells that you cannot even imagine it. This is why great yogis live for 120 years, 130 years, even up to 180 years. Because their sensual energy becomes zero. Then only the energy of light remains. And through that energy, the cells receive the power of the universe, their life becomes very high, and it becomes very long. To understand this, there is a very famous story. If you understand that story, you will understand these three great forces around which our entire life circles. If we rise above these forces, we can become centered in our true dignity, our life can become long, and it can become filled with the presence of the divine. This is the story of Bodhidharma. 2500 years ago, Mahatma Buddha was born. The path shown by Buddha spread widely in China, Japan, and many Eastern countries. But slowly the influence of his teachings began to fade. About 1500 years ago, in South India, there was a kingdom called Pallav. The king was known by the name Sugandha. In his palace, a child of extraordinary brilliance was born. From birth itself, this child wanted to search for truth. From birth itself he wanted to rise above pleasure and pain. Even though he was a prince, he had no interest in any worldly luxuries. In childhood he had already read all the stories of Buddha. He had studied all the scriptures. He had studied all the Vedas. He had gained knowledge of the Upanishads because he was extremely gifted. But his father, King Sugandha, wanted him to take part in the affairs of the kingdom. The boy had no interest at all. While still very young, he shaved his head and became a monk. At that time there was a great guru named Parvamatra. The boy came into his presence and received every kind of teaching from him. He understood the deep secrets of spiritual practice. The Guru also understood in a short time that this child was exceptionally wise. He taught him everything. This boy grew up to be known as Bodhidharma. He could easily enter the depths of meditation. When he was 17 or 18 years old, his Guru Parvamatra expressed his wish that he should travel to China. He said, "At this time Buddhism in China has fallen to a low state. Go there and teach the monks so they may once again follow the Buddha's path and progress on it." This young monk boarded a small boat with a little food and set out on his journey. It was a very dangerous journey to travel from India to China by sea. 1500 years ago, traveling in a small boat, he faced many storms. He faced many hardships, but he had firmness, and he had the strength of the divine with him. In the end he reached China. When the Chinese king learned that a monk had come from India, he brought him to his palace with great respect. The king's name was King Bu. He was proud to have such a gifted monk from India visit him. King Bu had built many statues of Buddha in China and had done much to spread Buddhism there. When Bodhidharma came to the royal court, the king, filled with pride, said, "Look, I have built such large statues here and here. I have built so many monasteries. I have done so much. By doing all this, my life has become successful. Can I now attain liberation? Will I reach the state of emptiness?" Bodhidharma replied very clearly, "Everything you have done is for society. There is no inner progress in this. You cannot reach the state of emptiness through these actions." The king was shocked. His pride was shattered in front of his ministers and his people, but he stayed silent. Then he asked Bodhidharma a second question, "What is the supreme truth?" Bodhidharma replied plainly, "The supreme truth is attained only when a person reaches the vast state of emptiness, the absolute emptiness. Before that, it is impossible to know the supreme truth." Hearing this, King Bu felt as if rocks had been thrown on his head. He felt deeply hurt. Then he asked angrily, "Who are you?" Bodhidharma answered with complete simplicity, "I do not know who I am. I have no awareness of who I am." Hearing this, the king felt even more insulted and said angrily, "Leave my palace." Bodhidharma calmly stood up and left without feeling offended. He had already gained many siddhis and had undergone years of spiritual austerity. And he had to carry out the task his guru had given him. He sat on a reed leaf and crossed the waters. He knew that there was a monastery named Shivolin where monks lived. He went there. When he arrived, even the monks there did not accept him. They did not allow him to enter the monastery. Yet he still did not feel insulted. Near the Shivolin monastery there was a cave. He went inside that cave and sat down. You will be surprised to know how great he was. In that cave he performed austerity for 9 years. And the austerity was such that the cold there was extreme. It is a land of cold where snow keeps falling. Sitting in that cave, facing a rock wall, he stayed in a state of meditation. He remained in such deep meditation as if the light of the universe had entered every vein in his body. He would not meet anyone. If someone came, he still remained absorbed in his meditation. For him, hunger and thirst did not exist. he had become filled with light. In this state he lived there for 9 years. When sometimes sleep came to him, it is said that he even cut off his eyelids and threw them away. It is believed that where his eyelids fell, tea plants grew. That is why all Buddhist monks drink more tea. Since he did not accept any disciple, there was a great practitioner, also a monk, whose name was Wik, a Chinese name. In every way he wanted to make Bodhidharma his guru, because he himself had done many years of austerity. He stood outside the cave. Even while standing in the snow, Bodhidharma did not pay attention to him. In the end, Wik cut off his own arm and placed it before Bodhidharma. Only then Bodhidharma realized that this was a worthy disciple. He understood that this was not an ordinary being. He wanted to surrender himself to devotion with deep sincerity. Bodhidharma accepted him as a disciple. In the meantime, the other monks of the Shivolin monastery also watched Bodhidharma day and night and were amazed. What a great practitioner he was! He remained immersed in divine devotion day and night. All the monks began moving towards him. After 9 years, when all the monks accepted him, he finally entered the monastery and lived with them. He saw that the monks were very weak. Their health was not good. They had forgotten how to meditate properly. So first he taught them physical practices to improve health. Then he trained them in the method of meditation. There he established the Shivolin Kung Fu tradition, which is still very famous in China today. Through it a person remains healthy. His heart and mind become firm. His body becomes strong. And he can do intense spiritual practice without difficulty. The number of his disciples grew into the thousands. When some disciples developed hatred towards him, they mixed poison in his food. When he realized there was poison in it, he said to them, "You should also eat this food with me." Since they had mixed the poison, they did not do it. Bodhidharma ate it. Nothing happened to him. In this way they gave him poison 6 times, but none of it affected him. He lived there for many years. Then one day he said, "My time has come. I am 150 years old. My time to leave the world has come." In the presence of all, he left his body. By then, King Bu had become his great disciple. After his passing, they placed his body in a coffin and built his resting place there. Now what happened afterward is astonishing. Almost a year after his death, when someone was traveling along the Pamir Mountains, which was the route from China to India, the ambassador of India saw Bodhidharma walking there. He was shocked. He died a year ago. Why is he walking on the Pamir Mountains as if traveling with me towards India? He was deeply surprised. He told the king what he had seen. At first the king did not believe it. Later, when the resting place of Bodhidharma was opened and the coffin was taken out, nothing was found inside. Only a single shoe was there. And when Bodhidharma was seen walking on the mountain, he was carrying a stick, and on that stick, he had placed one shoe. He was walking with the stick and the shoe. Then it became clear that this was a being of pure light. It was not a body of flesh and bone. It was light that had left the coffin and was traveling towards India. When he was asked, "One of your shoes is still there. Why is that?" his response was very clear. He said, "The place from where I came, that is where my roots are. I am leaving some of my roots here as well so that the people of this land also walk on the path of dharma. And in the end, I will return to my own country and at the final moment merge into the divine there." This is that great story. When a person rises so high in the practice of knowledge, every cell in the body becomes filled with the light of God. Then he rises even beyond that, and in the form of pure consciousness he can take on the same body and travel wherever he wants. After so many years of spiritual practice, when every cell becomes only light, then death is no longer a question. He becomes radiant light. This is why Bodhidharma is remembered with great reverence in India, China, and Japan. By entering the highest state of meditation, a person conquers death, because his entire physical body becomes filled with light, and light can travel anywhere. It dissolves into the universe, and it can appear again in any form before anyone. When a person rises above these three fundamental forces in any way, every cell of the body becomes light. And it becomes light only when you rise above through the process of breath, or by remaining in the present moment, or by becoming a witness, or through the practice of Om. Then for many years one can live in that light, and when one wishes, one can return again to the physical state. This is the knowledge of the three primary forces of creation. The whole life of a person revolves around them. And when he rises above them, he becomes one with the Supreme. Just as Bodhidharma did, every human being can do the same and merge into the divine. Then death becomes like a simple play. When one becomes radiant light, the death of the body does not have any meaning. So, we too must try to become filled with the divine in our life. Whether through the path of breath, or the witness state, or by living in the present moment. This universe is very mysterious. It is impossible to reach its end. Only through the great powers of the divine does all this become possible. And any action done on the path of the divine never disappears. It follows us through many births. Just as Bodhidharma from childhood was devoted to God, and fulfilled the work for which he was sent into this world, after which he merged into the divine. So, we too must try to become a witness and, in the end, become radiant light.